Hello there. Thank you so much for joining us. This is News Channel Nebraska. My name's Eric McKay. Let's take a look at our top headlines today. The Norfolk Public School Board discussed parental involvement as it relates to the school's curriculum on Monday. The board brought forward various scenarios where parents could potentially get involved with their child's education. This after a bill passed in the Nebraska state legislature this year that demanded more transparency from public schools regarding curriculum surrounding certain topics.
We allow parents to make those decisions based on their personal viewpoints and their beliefs. If there's a controversial topic, then yes, we want them to have the ability to make those decisions for their children.
The board says it's an annual report required to make to the public. There was no pushback from the community. The district said if a parent wanted to get involved in limiting certain information for their children, there are options that would be made available. A school in the Panhandle getting closer to completing a new playground. The groundwork already underway in Bridgeport. For a new playground there, district officials say it's intended to be enjoyed by anyone of all abilities who want to play on it.
Another concept was we needed it to be inclusive so that, if we do have a student that has a walker or strollers or an older child that needs an assisted swing, everybody is able to play.
Project leaders say funding is coming along faster than expected. Platte Valley Bank recently donated $10,000 and an anonymous donors offered a $25,000 matching grant. The overall project budget has been set at $62,000. Well, the results of this year's May primary are official. The state canvassing board Monday certified this year's primary election results, the first in Nebraska under the new voter ID law. Secretary of State Bob Evnen said a random post-election audit of 3% of Nebraska precincts found no errors in Nebraska's ballot counting equipment. As for that new law, state officials say it went largely without a hitch. 99.95% of voters who cast ballots provided photo ID. Voter turnout was a lower than expected 28%, down 12% from 2020. It still, though, represented the third highest primary turnout this century. Gas prices once again on the decline across Nebraska. AAA says the average price per gallon in Nebraska, $3.20. That's down 7 cents from last week, 12 cents cheaper than a month ago. And that's reflective of a national trend. The AAA Motor Club says the national average for gas prices on Monday was 19 cents cheaper than a month ago, over 14 cents down from this time last year. So why the recent fall in prices at the pump? Well, industry analysts point to a blend of mild demand and increasing supply, as well as relatively mild oil prices worldwide. Now, the future's never promised, but if there are no major unexpected production interruptions, some experts say that prices could keep working their way lower. This as prices go up elsewhere. If you've bought groceries recently, you've likely noticed you're paying more for food. Some items have really spiked in price. Jen Sullivan looks at why consumers are paying more for certain products.
A breakfast staple is skyrocketing in price. Orange juice. Since the beginning of this year, orange juice prices have gone up more than 30%, according to Trading Economics, a site that tracks the price of certain commodities, hitting an all-time high in May.
Prices are as high as has ever been.
Yuri Ferris with the Rainforest Alliance says the spike in prices is largely being caused by severe weather changes in Brazil. Brazil is the world's largest producer of oranges, accounting for 75% of all orange juice exports.
So it's a very tricky moment for orange juice globally.
Most of the orange farms are in Sao Paulo, Brazil, which has been impacted by severe drought. But the orange trees are also being destroyed by disease.
It's called greening, caused by the bacteria that has infested crops all over the world.
Ferris says the only way to fight the disease is to burn down the crop, and it takes at least 2 to 3 years to grow another orange tree. A lengthy process, which likely means prices aren't going down anytime soon. To compensate for the low supply and high demand, orange juice makers are using other citrus fruits to mix with oranges to create OJ.
In order to maintain consumption, you have to mix it with other products.
But it's not just oranges impacted by drought and climate change. Drought is hurting coffee and cocoa beans. It's impacting the price of chocolate and coffee. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is predicting food prices across the board will increase by 2.2% this year. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
A major U.S. highway that goes through Grand Island is scaling up. Construction crews broke ground Monday on the U.S. Highway 30 Grand Island West project. The state following through on an idea that's been talked about for almost 2 decades, turning Highway 30 into a 4-lane expressway. The Nebraska Department of Transportation says this expansion will help with traffic.
Anyone who's driven through Grand Island understands its connection with Highway 30, with Kearney, and with trying to get through the town. So in terms of just having better access, having better congestion relief, going from a 2-lane to a 4-lane divided highway, there's safety elements to it, there's increased capacity.
The project includes about 4 miles of work from Alda to the interchange with U.S. Highway 281 in West Grand Island. Crews will be realigning existing roads to line up to the proposed Highway 30 route. Construction is expected to take about 2 years and cost about $33 million. This expansion, part of the Build Nebraska Act, which passed the legislature in 2011 and 2013. Well, from festivals to concerts, events can draw a lot of visitors and therefore more money into communities. But hosting events can be tough for small towns, especially if they don't have a proper venue. Casey Wanenberg has more on Valentine's effort to build a convention center to be able to host more events.
So a place like this we can really appreciate.
Whether it's to enjoy the scenery of a national scenic river or take part in an event such as this bicycle ride across Nebraska,
beautiful day,
Valentine has been seeing a spike in visitors since 2019.
We are halfway from anywhere, but in the middle of nowhere.
In order to draw even more tourists and therefore more money, city and county leaders have been discussing the potential of a convention center for years.
If a conference is coming to town, you know, we've got good things for them to do outside of when they're not in the actual conference. What we're missing is a place to have the conference.
After a proposal to build a convention center at this old Shopko building failed, Cherry County commissioners are now considering a new agreement to build a center at Mid-Plains Community College.
I think we're closer than we have been for a while, partnering with Mid-Plains possibly, but I want to just state that we're in the very, very beginning of this. So we're just kind of getting our ideas together right now. We're going to have to.
The potential agreement would have the county paying a portion of the building, along with fundraising and grants. Mid-Plains would maintain and manage the facility.
They're already there. They've got people there. It kind of makes sense.
Add their numbers.
Commissioners hope to have more details, such as dollar amounts, at their next meeting.
To see if it's acceptable.
But one thing is for sure, a new convention center has the possibility to improve quality of life and economic development in Valentine.
It brings people to town, conferences, stuff like that, and it's good for everybody.
In Valentine, Casey Wanenberg, News Channel, Nebraska.
Giving blood, it's one of those random acts of kindness that can go a long way. The Nebraska Community Blood Bank is the sole provider of blood for Jefferson Community Health and Life in southeast Nebraska. Its bloodmobile stopped by Fairbury Monday, serving as a reminder of the high demand for blood all over the state. The Nebraska Community Blood Bank says it needs 1,000 units of blood weekly. Blood bank officials say donating gives hope to those who need it.
And you'll notice that there's things on that bus that say, you know, give hope. Well, when you're giving a unit of blood, you're really giving hope. And it could be to any number of people. It could be to your neighbor. It could be to your family member. It could be to somebody that you don't know.
It's recommended people stay hydrated before and after giving blood, especially given the hot temperatures this week. Anyone interested can go to the Nebraska Community Blood Bank's website to see the criteria for giving blood. And a southeast Nebraska police chief announcing his retirement after over 4 decades wearing the badge. Dan Swanson has more.
Nebraska City Police Chief David Lacey laments a decline in interest for the law enforcement profession among young people. Says the courts could do a better job